Joe from Lost Point. This is the Rorschach, Georgia update from the 30th of July, 2026. Quick summary of what's going down in Georgia. Friday the 24th, the EU added Georgia's Kulevi refinery to its 21st sanctions package against Russia for processing Russian crude oil. The sanctions impose a transaction ban on the refinery. They take effect in 6 months, giving the facility and its parent company, Black Sea Petroleum, time to wind down Russian oil dealings first. The package also introduces a new legal mechanism letting the EU sanction any refinery worldwide that processes Russian crude. Corruption researcher Bezek Donadze called it a reputational blow to Georgia and suggested the Kulevi refinery would not have processed Russian oil without the direct approval of Bidzina Ivanishvili, founder of the Georgian Dream Party, otherwise known as the Kotsebi. Speaking of sanctions, the EU's latest sanctions also hit Interrao, a major Russian state-controlled energy company, indirectly owns 75% of Telasi, Tbilisi's main electricity distributor, through a Netherlands-based subsidiary. Interrao also owns 2 hydropower plants in Georgia through a second subsidiary. The EU sanctioned the company for funneling revenue to the Russian government. Georgia's national bank says Telasi itself isn't sanctioned since it's only indirectly owned and banks will keep serving it normally. The national bank is correct. Next up, on Friday the 24th, a rare nationwide blackout swept across Georgia, including Tbilisi. The outage also hit Abkhazia, which receives free electricity from the Nguri hydropower plant, Georgia's largest, under a long-standing agreement. Authorities gave no official cause for Friday's blackout. A smaller outage struck Tbilisi again on Saturday the 25th, which utility company Telasi blamed on planned preventative work. Georgia's State Security Service is now investigating the possibility of deliberate sabotage aimed at threatening national interests. In other news, on Monday the 27th, MMA fighter Georgi Kartvelashvili announced a new movement to defend Georgian values and traditions. All the typical code, joining the Kotsebi bootlicking brigade and rejoining the Russian orbit. Parroting the usual talking point, he claims that Georgia faces a coordinated attack from pseudo-liberal groups, foreign-funded activists, and certain media figures. He pointed to the July 22nd assault on comedian Onise Okriashvili, who was attacked after joking about writer Nodar Dumbadze and faced a state media smear campaign beforehand. Somehow, the MMA fighter seemed more worried about Okriashvili than about his being attacked. The suspect in that attack walked free on bail on the 25th, a move pro-government circles celebrated. Kartvelashvili says his movement will stay constructive but won't shy away from forceful actions, and members are ready to go to prison if necessary. Great. On Sunday the 26th, police detained 10 anti-government protesters in central Tbilisi, all for holding posters phrased as a yes or no poll. Is Bidzina a dick? Yes or no? It started with activist Tornike Toshkua, who stood alone outside Tbilisi City Council with a poster and was detained almost immediately. Other protesters then arrived, held up identical signs in solidarity. Police arrested them too. The Interior Ministry charged all 10 with petty hooliganism and disobeying police. A near identical incident happened outside the same building in 2015 over protesters criticizing Ivanishvili's Panorama Tbilisi project, and the European Court of Human Rights later ruled those arrests violated the protesters' rights. On Tuesday, the 28th, U.S. Embassy of Georgia openly criticized the government's new hate speech monitoring department, calling it troubling. The embassy's statement came after Radio Free Europe asked about media freedom and the recent 14-day jail sentence given to opposition journalist Vachos Sanaya over a Facebook post deemed insulting to ruling party members. An embassy spokesperson said the Trump administration sees free speech as foundational and opposes censorship laws used to silence critics. On Monday the 27th, Parliamentary Speaker Shalva Papuashvili made another anti-EU statement saying that staying outside the EU might actually benefit a small country. He was reacting to a German initiative that would scrap the EU's consensus-based decision-making rule, change member states haven't agreed on yet. Papuashvili warned that dropping consensus would turn the EU from a union of equals into one run by big states, leaving small countries unable to protect their vital interests or block harmful decisions. He argued this would strip states of real sovereignty, reducing them to regions or provinces of a larger political system. He's really focusing on this, one could guess, in preparation for the EU to strip Georgia of visa-free travel. He has not checked his tactically useful to the Kotzebue hypothesis with the many small countries who are actually in the European Union and loving it. Last week, we covered the shooting in Tbilisi's Vera district, where gunmen opened fire on the evening of July 22nd, shooting 4 people, 2 of them minors. One of the wounded, a 17-year-old boy, later died in the hospital. Police arrested suspect Nika Kapanadze on the spot. Now, his mother says that despite mental health problems, the shooter illegally owned 3 registered firearms. She told TV Pirvelli that years ago, when her son's mental health declined and he started acting aggressively at home, she reported it to the police herself, and they issued a 1-month restraining order against him and confiscated his weapons. However, just a month later, the weapons were returned with no further follow-up from the authorities. On Wednesday the 29th, Georgian media confirmed that Thai travel blogger Lun Solo, who's been missing for 2 weeks, had been found dead in his Tbilisi hotel room. His family lost contact with him on the 13th of July while he filmed content for his channel, which has 2.5 million Facebook followers and nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers. Georgian authorities actually found his body the very next day, July 14th, but never announced it. With no news, his brother posted a public appeal on the 28th, still believing him missing. The Interior Ministry confirmed the death only after the news gained public traction, adding that an investigation is still ongoing. Hours before that confirmation, Thailand's embassy was still posting about the efforts to locate him, and it's still unclear if Georgia ever even informed the Thai authorities. On Tuesday the 21st, Nauru, a tiny Pacific island of around 12,000 people and one of the smallest countries on Earth, withdrew its recognition of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. Nauru has recognized both territories since December 2009, reportedly after Russia offered it $50 million in aid at the time. It was one of just 5 UN member states still recognizing them, alongside Russia, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Syria. Georgian Foreign Minister Maka Bochorishvili called the original recognition a blatant violation of international law and credited years of diplomatic work for reversing it. Abkhazia's de facto foreign ministry pushed back hard, claiming Nauru caved to unprecedented foreign pressure, including political blackmail and economic punishment, and insisted this won't change the reality on the ground. On July 18th, in the southern Georgian town of Akhaltsikhe, more than 10 people physically attacked the local mosque's Imam, Shavket Dvalidze, and his family. The attack started after the Imam's son and a visiting underage relative from Turkey were overheard speaking Turkish. Strangers verbally confronted them over the language, then chased the family into their yard and beat them, with Dvalidze suffering the worst injuries and needing hospital treatment. Dvalidze belongs to the Muslim Meskhetian community, a Turkish-speaking group deported from Georgia by Soviet authorities in 1944. Police arrested only 2 suspects despite witnesses identifying up to 12 attackers, and a court released both on bail. An in-depth OC Media feature by Mikhail Gvazabia looks at Iranian dissidents who fled to Georgia for safety and now risk being sent back home. It centers on Imam Asghari, detained by migration authorities in May after 8 years in Georgia. His asylum claim was rejected, and the Iranian embassy is now refusing to help him since he joined anti-government protests in Tbilisi. With no valid passport, no country willing to take him, his family fears deportation would mean persecution or worse back in Iran. The police also points to a broader pattern. Georgia's migration laws have tightened sharply, deportations are up, and diaspora activists say the government's growing ties with Tehran are shaping how it treats Iranian asylum seekers. Link to the full article in show notes, and that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Anything to ask or tell us, email us at info@rorschach.com. Nachmandis.